Welcome, everybody, to the first OMR podcast. I'm your host, Sean, along with my two friends, Ryan and Mark, who are lifetime hockey fans and NHL enthusiasts. So, the way that this first podcast is going to go is that we're going to be covering multiple topics of the NHL season thus far. So, the first topic that we're going to be talking about will be the NHL standings, which I'll get into the Western divisions, the Pacific and Central. So, we're going to start off with that. So, let's go ahead, get on the handy dandy NHL website and look at the Central, which has your leading Nashville Predators with 35 points. Second place, Colorado Avalanche. Third place, Minnesota Wild with 30. Thanks for the little whoever's mic that is. Right, we can edit that.
That was mine. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to cough, and I had to, but I had to.
It's all good, man. So for the Pacific, don't worry, you got it, man. So for the Pacific, we got Calgary with 30 points, San Jose with 29, and Anaheim also with 29 points. We're going to go ahead now, get into the East now with my boy Ryan. He's going to take us through the Metro and the Atlantic, the top 6 teams as of right now.
Yeah, so we'll first start with the Atlantic first. We have the Buffalo Sabres in first with 36 points. Toronto is also at 36 points. However, the Sabres are one game ahead of them, so that's why the Sabres are currently leading them. And then we have the Tampa Bay Lightning in third with 35 points. And then going into the Metro, we have Washington at 31 points, the Columbus Blue Jackets at 30 points, and then the New York Rangers at 28 points. And so now we'll let Mark take over the wildcard positions.
Hello. First wild card position is Dallas. They have 26 games played. They are 13-10 with 3 overtime losses, sitting at 29 points. Then in the second spot is Winnipeg. 23 games played with 13 wins, 8 losses, 2 overtime losses at 28 points. And then a couple of teams that are behind them in the race for the wild card is the Vegas Golden Knights. They are sitting at 27 points. Vancouver Canucks, they are sitting at 25 points. Edmonton Oilers, they're sitting at 24 points. Chicago Blackhawks are sitting at 23 points. And that's for the West. And then for the East, we have the Boston Bruins. They have 24 games played with 13 wins, 7 losses, 4 overtime losses with 30 points. Carolina Hurricanes at 24 games played, 12 wins, 9 losses, and 3 overtime losses with 27 points. And then a couple teams that are still in the hunt and still in the race for the wild card are the Montreal Canadiens. They have 27 points. New York Islanders have 26 points. The Pittsburgh Penguins have 25 points. And Detroit Red Wings with 25 points. Now back to Sean.
Well, also I just would want to comment on the wild card. How even for both conferences, you could see that there's not really that much of a gap between the second wild card and some of the teams. So it's really just competitive, and hopefully some of these teams like the Islanders or these other teams can somehow sneak into the playoffs and secure a spot in the playoffs. Now we'll jump into statistics. We're going to go into the offensive leaders. We'll start with points. We have Mikko Rantanen at 40 with Nathan MacKinnon, his fellow teammate, 37 behind him. Mitch Marner in third with 36. Connor McDavid, 33. Nikita Kucherov, 33. Braden Point, 32. Matt Duchene, 31. And John Tavares with 30. I'll stop there. There's obviously a bunch of other names. Now we will go down to assists. Mikko Rantanen again leading with 30. Mitch Marner is tied with him with 30. Blank Wheeler with 25. Nikita Kucherov, 24. Jack Eichel, Buffalo Sabre, 23. Brent Burns, 23. Thomas Chabot, 22. And Nick Backstrom with 22. Going to the goal leaders, we got David Pastrnak with 19. Three-way first place tie between Pasta, Skinner, and Patrick Laine with 19. Braden Point with 18. Alex Ovechkin, 18. Nathan MacKinnon with 17. John Tavares with 17. And Joe Pavelski with 16. I'm going to skip over plus minus. It's pretty much just go through that. Goaltending, we got goals against average. We got the leading Pekka Rinne David Rittich from Calgary, Yaroslav Halak from Boston, and Curtis McElhinney, former Blue Jacket, now Toronto. Toronto. I almost messed that up. Uh, Carolina Hurricane, and then Frederick Anderson. I'll just go top five, and obviously the leading is 1.77 in goals against average, and Freddie Anderson's at a 2.26 for fifth place in that. And we're gonna go down to wins with Frederick Anderson topping that list at 14. Then we got Fleury at 13, Carter Hutton at 12, Pecorine at 10, and Vasilevsky with 9. Save percentage, again, we get Pecorine at the top of this list with Yaroslav Halak. Coming in second, Frederick Anderson in third, Ryan Miller, and David Rittich again. Top, Pecorine is a .938 save percentage. In the fifth place, David Rittich is a .930. So very good goaltending for them recently. In their last goaltending category here would be the shutouts. What was this? Shootouts. The shutouts with Fleury with 5, Keith Kincaid with 3, Pecorine with 2, Yaroslav Halak with 2, and Ben Bishop with 2. A lot of not that many shutouts this early in the season. Hopefully more teams will be able to capitalize and get more shutouts for the goaltenders. Right now, I guess I will get into the rookie stats as I have out on this. Also over here, I'll read them out for you guys. I'm only going to read the rookie points and rookie goals. So for the points, we have Elias Pettersson with 21, Brady Tkachuk 16, Colin White with 16, Brett Howden with 13, and Rasmus Dahlin with 13. And then leading in goals for rookies, we have Elias Pettersson with 13, Brady Tkachuk with 9, Colin White with 7, Maxime Logier, I don't even know, it's a French name, we need our French Canadian here. Too bad we don't have him. Lejoie. And Andreas Janssen with 5. I guess now, should I go over the defensemen, guys? I don't know if I really should. For the Norris, if we could talk about that a little bit. I mean, let's not really go over the stats, but who do you guys think top 3 for defensemen? Who do you think the candidates will be this year? I think it's going to be pretty similar to what it is for most of the years. I think I can see Carlson, Brent Burns, and Erik Karlsson again. I don't know about you guys. I think you could add Victor Hedman in there. Okay. What about you, Ryan? What are you thinking?
Similar names. Definitely, Burns, Carlson, and Hedman can always be one, but right now it's might be a little hard to judge Burns and Carlson since they're both on the same team. And I think Carlson's trying to find his stride out there in San Jose. So I think it's
definitely had a slow start. Definitely had a really slow start for him, but he's been picking it up
offensively with I think goals. I think it's a little slow for him. He's got the assists, but I don't think the goal category is lining up yet out there in San Jose for him.
All right. So with all the stats and standings done, we could just get into our news flash and just talk about recent GM and coach firings and hirings, even stuff during the off season. I guess we'll get into a little bit of that as well, and some trades and just recent news predictions, yeah.
Points, goals, and assists.
We'll do that as well. But I would just say, just to start off, during the off season, there was a lot of moves, not only players, but with one major, I would say, move regarding GMs, hirings, and firings was the whole New York Islanders thing. Firing Snow and all that stuff, and bring in Lou Lamoriello, which is a huge piece and definitely sad for Toronto to let go of. But then now they have young Kyle Dubas, so hopefully he can try to step up for Toronto. Then we have the Quenneville. This is more recent. We have the Quenneville firing for Chicago and the Ron Hextall. One of you guys could definitely get into that because you guys were talking about that before. I don't know if one of you guys want to just talk about your input.
The Ron Hextall, yes. Ron Hextall, the reason why I heard that he got removed from his position was because the hockey and the business sides weren't meshing well. They were losing money by the team not performing, and that was a big factor of him losing his job. But he did make some solid picks in the last couple of drafts, and he's also made some key moves by moving players that had hefty contracts that weren't performing up to the contract standards. So he, has a tough call to fire him, but you got to do what you got to do. And unfortunately, he's a scapegoat. So, and then the Joe Quenneville firing was he's the same voice, and I don't remember how many years he's been in there, but it's been a pretty good tenure for him there, and that's
Pretty
the
good
reason
run there.
why. That's the reason why
Getting
they got
some
rid of
cups
him,
from
because
him.
they just need a new voice, and you just need to change things up sometimes so that players can respond and the organization can respond.
Definitely, Scotty Bowman was taking a big blast from that, though. Or big,
Of course.
lots of controversy there
Everybody
for
in
him.
Chicago loves Joe Quenneville.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Fame coach, and he's a respectable guy there. He's obviously won the 3 Stanley Cups with them, and it's just a sad thing, but that's just the same thing that happened with the Sabres and Lindy Ruff back in the day. By the way, I'm a Sabres fan, so I'm going to bring up the Sabres a lot.
And I'm a Blue
So
Jacket.
don't judge.
And Ryan, we don't really know what he is, but to be honest.
Well, thanks for that.
He's
Really, with the coaches though, that's actually been a recent domino effect. I think, quote me if I'm wrong, I believe it may have started with LA firing their head coach, and then kind of just went from there with like 3 or 4 other teams, including the Blackhawks. It could be early to say if that was like the right call, because we're only 25 games in for kind of like the average for the teams in the league. So it's kind of really hard to say if that was like the right call at this time. Definitely like with the Chicago Blackhawks, though, they haven't really been the team that they were maybe in the last couple years.
They're definitely getting older.
They're getting older, and then a lot of things to consider with that team is contracts. And
so yeah, the cap. I would say the cap would be their biggest enemy for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All those big contracts, all the players who are getting older. That's what is key, especially their defensive. But got to develop the young kids, and I think Chicago can bounce back within the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah, Alex DeBrincat's a beast, but I definitely think Chicago could bounce back within 2 to 3 years, all depending on how they, the new regime makes moves. So time will tell for Chicago fans.
Yeah, and I think just mentioning that salary cap again, also how they play with that, because obviously you got 2 guys on there worth $10 million each, I think, average. So that's going to play a big part with like future signings. So I think that's going to be a big role with how they.
That's a big role in Artemi Panarin coming to Columbus. That's a big thing there. So.
Quote unquote, he's still on the fence.
Yeah. But maybe he'll stay. We can move. We'll move past that. I don't really want to talk about that.
Buffalo.
No. Hell no. Definitely not. But I guess sticking on Chicago, because recent trades have been happening as well. Dylan Strome, Brandon Perlini for Nick Schmaltz. That was just one of the trades. That was a big trade. Who do you think won that one? Chicago? I would definitely say that. I don't know what Arizona was thinking in that trade. I really don't. I don't get it.
Personally, because I was even reading about that trade more today, right now it's a little hard to say because they're all young players. I think Strome.
I think Strome just got a point last night. Strome just got a point.
Yeah, like they got a point, but like the thing is they're all young, and like they're just 22, 21 years old. So right now they still got to make their names. Like I don't know how much Strome honestly played in Arizona, but like I think give 2 or 3 years down the road, that trade will probably be evaluated more in depth.
I would say anybody who's playing with Taves and Kane, how you saw how Panarin was coming right into the league with Patty Kane on his side. I mean, these younger prospects and younger players, they develop a lot quicker when you have high-end caliber talent like that. So
they also do a lot bigger, and better training than the previous generations. You know what I mean? So they come in faster, stronger, better hockey IQ. They understand the game. They can dial in on the game, within 3 seconds and make a move in a split second compared to, previous time when the game was a lot slower. So
And kind of going on off that development, I think they do develop a lot better. Like that's clearly seen with Panarin in Columbus because now that he's not playing with Kane, he's still putting up numbers and doing everything right. But that's not always said for
He's
every
not the same player.
player, because you can see players that played well with like John Tavares, for example. Like when they went to other teams, certain players actually didn't stick well, and you could maybe blame that not playing with like the big name players anymore. But it definitely shows a lot if a player keeps the development that they earned from like playing with those players. And I think Panarin is a clear example of that, since you mentioned it earlier.
100%. 100%. I guess another trade we can kind of talk about a little bit was the Carl Hagelin for Tanner Pearson one. It wasn't like a major trade, but it was more recent and it was a 1-for-1. Um, I don't really know. I didn't really know what to think of the trade. I mean, aren't they pretty much similar
Go
in
to the
age?
garbage. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I guess so.
I really can't say much
Yeah, I
because
It's a
don't.
I'm
pawn
not
for a
following it
pawn,
LA too
and they're
much.
not gonna. Neither player is gonna make a drastic change for either franchise. It was kind of probably just
It was like a
contract move,
cap. Yeah, I was gonna
and
say it kind of helped
you know
out
what I
the
mean. It's
cap.
something like that, and it really has no significance for either team to do anything. But if anybody, I think Tanner could do, has the higher ceiling than Carl Hagelin, especially because Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh, and you play with
Kings are the
Crosby
Kings.
and Melvin, and you're held to a standard that's way higher than a lot of other franchises in the sport. So that's just what I think of it though.
Okay, it's good, very good points right there. Next, the next thing we could talk about, which mainly you two will be talking, since it's about the Sabres and their hot streak.
Oh,
So I know you
yeah,
guys
baby.
are gonna explode here. So go on. It's going to.
Yeah, major movement by my team. We've been the laughing stock for the NHL for the last good 3 to 5 seasons. This is probably the most exciting hockey we've had since the Danny Briere and Chris Drury, um, I want to say 2006, 2007 season. But the boys are playing good hockey. They bought into Phil Housley's system. The defense has generated 55 plus points, which all of last year they probably did that, and they've done that, within the first 24 games or 25 games that we played. Um, the Jeff Skinner move is obviously big, but he's also playing with Jack Eichel, so Jack Eichel makes everybody better, and Jeff Skinner is actually a good talent, so he's a good pairing for Jack. They just need to find a third player. They've been rotating between two to be on their other wing, and then that will be probably top 5 line in the NHL if it's not already ready. Already that. Also, Carter Hutton is unbelievable right now. He is definitely solidified the goaltending position that the Sabres have been missing since Ryan Miller, and then Marty Baron, and then Dominic Hasek. Also, we've been getting a lot of points from the third and fourth line, which that's also been missing from here. And, you know, the new additions that Jason Botterill has brought in from either trades or free agency or a draft has actually panned out and are making um, contributions. I can't even say it right because I'm stuttering over the words. Sorry, but they're doing their part, and they really bought into the system at play. And there's no me. It's we. And we can see that there is a 10-game win streak so far. And let's fingers crossed, keep it going. Now moving on to Ryan, who can put his input in.
Yeah, so I think one of the things I'm going to really talk about is like not only are the players I think finally buying into it, but I think you can say the fans. So like over the last month, I've gone to 3 games.
Oh, bandwagons.
That's a term we'll maybe leave out there, but I can definitely say there's a lot more, fans, going to the games. They're more involved, in comparison to last season when I went to some games. Like, there's definitely more fan involvement, which is probably, a good. It makes the atmosphere a lot better for the team, especially when they're playing at home. Like, they have that confidence to keep playing and, not like put themselves down. I think clearly a lot of maybe not a lot of the games during this 10-game win streak. There's been like a lot of comeback wins, but you can definitely see like the fans are actually buying into it, which is always good for like any team because that can just help the players
It's
as
good
well.
for their image. Looks good.
Yeah, but like also with what Ryan just said about how they've had a lot of comeback victories, this has definitely shown that they believe in each other, and when they go down 4-1 going into the third period, they don't second guess, their strategy or their game plan at all. They execute it, and it pays off, and it's definitely building what the morale that we need for to possibly make a playoff push. But I do believe that the Sabres will cool down. They probably might win within the next 4 games that are coming. Hopefully, they could at least win 2 of them. I don't really care about the win streak at all as a fan. I just hope that the boys to continue this on and just learn, grow, and develop. And also, Rasmus Dahlin has definitely set the tone for the defensive group here. He is only 19 years old or 18 years old, 19 years old, regardless. But he is definitely setting the standard, and everybody is their
Is he a Calder
games are evolving
finalist, do
with
you
him.
think?
No, not at all. But
No?
he might be up in top 5, but I don't, just because he's a defenseman, and I don't
Mhm.
care if he gets the points. I just want him to do all the little things right, and that's what he's doing. He's playing, defensive position well. He's not really losing any puck battles on the boards or anything like that. He's also got the hands and the eyes to make passes and the right plays to help out teammates. He's not a selfish player, and that's spreading within the locker room and also with the defensive core. So they're all kind of playing that same role. And like I said, the defense has had probably 55 to 60 points so far in this season, and they haven't had that, the whole year for the last couple seasons. So
I think you're touching on like a bigger point there with the defense. Like, I actually was at that game the other night against San Jose, and to see Ristolainen make a move that he did, that shows a lot of confidence that the defensemen now have in their offensive skills. And even Nathan Boyu, who just came up just to make the tap in for the goal.
That's
You
also
definitely
with Phil
see.
Housley and the coaching staff giving them the permission, with air quotes, if you want to say that, to join the rush and to create the plays and to really believe that your teammates are going to cover your spot so that you can try to get those chances for the team. So, definitely.
And I think you can actually draw that comparison to Nashville back when Housley was just a defensive coach, because that was a system that he adopted in that franchise as well. Because if you look at the top 4 defensemen, I believe it's still PK Subban, Roman Yossi. Um, who are the other 2? I'm kind of drawing a blank, but like just that system alone that he adopted. You can kind of see that that's actually transitioning here in Buffalo with
Well,
the
also, don't
defense.
forget that he is a Hall of Fame defenseman himself. So,
He is. But I'm saying, it's
that's
good
not-
that system is being brought in with the defense, because it's
yeah,
good to see the
they
points
didn't
get.
buy into the system last season at all, and you could tell, and that's why they were, the last place team in the damn league. So, oops, sorry for swearing, but I'm just
You're good, man.
Well,
Don't
I
worry
mean,
about it.
I think also when you consider it wasn't at Housley's first season last year, so it's not like that's going to be something that, it's not like it turns on like a light, It's not going to be overnight or anything. I think definitely takes a lot of.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Okay, the
Okay.
players need to believe, and then they need to execute. They didn't buy into it. It was all me, 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 me. Everyone was selfish. Jack like was a crybaby.
All right,
You
all
know,
right,
you
all
go-
right,
you
all
go
right,
to
all
the
right.
Saints.
I know we're going on like a 5-10 minute rant right here just about Buffalo. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew it was
mute
gonna
up.
happen.
Just mute it up.
All right, all
Cut
right,
it
all
out.
right.
You set
No, it's all
yourself
good.
up.
I guess I'll put a quick 30 seconds in about my favorite team, the Blue Jackets. Okay. A lot of young talent, I would say, stepping up. Obviously, we had Panarin playing out of his mind. I would say the last couple games. I mean, I think it was last game he just broke a goal spout or something. So he's been struggling as of recent, but he's still a top point getter on the team. Then you got the center, Pierre-Luc Dubois, 19 years old, I believe, or 20 years old. He's playing great right now. Cam Atkinson's on fire. You have just this young group, and even players that have been giving their third and fourth chance. Anthony Duclair, he's been playing phenomenal right now. So you're seeing a lot of these older players that at least some of them, these older players that they're getting a fresh start in Columbus and Ohio, and it's starting to pay off for them. So I mean, it's making me happy. It's making the fans happy, and it's just making the NHL happy. Just seeing teams that haven't been doing as well, they're all starting to, at least at the beginning of the season, starting to take over and really push out the other teams that have been standing there for a while at the top.
Yeah, definitely
think
some fun hockey to watch.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
great.
definitely a good point because you can definitely see like the league kind of almost reshaping on like who's on top and who's on bottom because clearly every team is eventually going to go through a rebuild. I think you're starting to see that transition with like a lot of teams in the last few years who've been on top. You know, they're
Yeah, they're
eventually going to
definitely
hit like
older.
that rock bottom.
Talking about a
But
rebuild, the New York Rangers, they're going through a quote unquote rebuild, third in the Metro.
if
It's crazy.
if that hasn't been mentioned, obviously.
They're also
But
buying
I
into
think
the system, man. And that's another big thing. You got to buy in it. You got to just, you got to execute the game plan. And for the teams that don't, they're always on the bottom. And that's one of the key things that I can say as a Sabres fan. That was our problem. And this year, that's one thing that's different. The culture's changed. And that's what's happening with a lot of teams. The Rangers, everyone said that they're going to be terrible. They were going to be bad. It's a rebuild. And the people that are inside that organization and building don't believe that. They bought into what they're doing and they're executing it and it's working. So
I was thinking of almost maybe a final topic since it's getting close to deadline time. But what about William Nylander?
Definitely will pass.
We'll pass on that.
Yeah,
Are
we're
you
well
sure?
past.
Because
I think we should do our predictions for
No,
the goals.
it's fine. We could just keep going. If you want to talk about Nylander really quick, and then we could just move into our predictions.
I just
And-
feel like that's going to be a big topic in the coming
Well,
days here.
yeah, I would say so. Let's set that aside. Let's go ahead and get into our predictions.
Okay.
I'll go
right.
last.
All right, Ryan, go first.
Oh,
So
What are
it's
we predicting
goals,
first?
assists, points, and then we'll do rookies after. But right now, it's who do you think's going to lead the league in goals at the end of the year? Assists and points.
all right, Mark. I'll let you start off then.
Maybe
You're
just
an
letting
ass,
you
I said
start.
But okay. So for goals right now, I do believe that Ovechkin is going to lead the league. Him or Patrick Laine. But I definitely think that they're right now. Ovi's at 18. The league leader only has 19. And Ovi's kind of under the radar right now, and he's really not, in the headlines so much of being, scoring like he was last season. But there's a good possibility that he could hit 50 as usual. But I do think that him or Patrick Laine are going to be the goal leaders for the end of the season. For assists, honestly, I do believe it's going to be Mikko Rantanen for the first time. He already has 32 assists so far on the season. He is on one of the best lines in all of NHL, and he is probably in the top 3 duos with him and Nathan MacKinnon. So my pick for the league leader in assists at the end of the season will be Mikko Rantanen. And then for points, I do believe that it will be Mikko Rantanen or Nathan MacKinnon. As long as they can stay healthy, them two will definitely be one or the other league leader for points.
I'll go second. I can go second right now. I would say for goals, kind of piggybacking off what you said with Ovechkin and Patrick Laine. Somehow I could see Laine for some reason
Me too.
taking
he's
the
got
top.
19 right now, dude. Yeah.
He literally quote from himself saying that he was going to be the next Ovechkin but better. So let's be honest. I'm putting Laine up top for that. For assists, I was gonna say for assists I was gonna say Mitch Marner for this year. Toronto's been hot. Obviously the Avalanche have been hot as well, but I could just for some reason see Mitch Marner. He's been a young player, phenomenal player, and
Yeah.
I could just see him leading in assists. And for the points, this is going to be kind of a stretch, but not too bad of a stretch. I'm going to say Connor McDavid is going to pull his team out of the slump and they're gonna start. Well, even if they don't pull him out of a
Not
slump,
even a stretch.
no,
It's Connor
it's not
McDavid.
really a stretch. It's Connor McDavid, so I could see Connor McDavid just
I
skyrocketing in
like it.
points this season. I mean,
He did it last year.
we're only 25, 26 games in, so
Yep.
plenty of time left for him to turn this around, really get a lead on everybody else. So, Ryan,
Yeah, so I guess starting with goals, I definitely would never count Ovechkin out in the goals category just because he's just been one of the league leading goal scorers, of this generation. That's just a safe assumption. But I know you guys were saying Line A, but I'm only steering away from it just because I'm not questioning his talent or anything like that. But like, he's only gotten up to 19 after like a 5 goal game. So clearly that's not going to happen like every game, but he is a natural goal scorer. So it's just, I can't really base it off when you get 5 goals in one game. That's kind of a little unnatural. I think when I even looked at that, the last time that ever happened was in 2011. So if he can, pick up his goals per game, maybe, then I can see maybe Line 8 getting up there. But definitely, um, Ovechkin's always like, you just can't count him out. I think if you're like definitely looking at it, um, David Pastrnak could be one because he's been naturally doing it since the start of the season.
So who are you picking here? You're just picking
Oh, I
apart
said
everyone.
Ovechkin. I said Ovechkin, but I'm
All right, then
just
move on.
not
so move on.
counting Line 8 just because I know you guys are going on him, but it's like you got to remember he had a 5 goal
He'll be
game. That's
fine.
kind
He'll
of
be
a
fine. He's gonna
a
pick it
little
up.
unknown.
He's gonna
But
pick it
Five
up.
with
goals.
the assists, that is major. But I just want to see it. You got to see more production, not in just a single game. That's what I'm talking about. But let's go on back here to the assists. I'm actually going to go with Nikita Kucherov. I know, Mark, you've been a little on his case, especially maybe from the goal category, but I think he's picking it up in the assist category. So I think I can see him leading the league in assists, picking up his game. I mean, you can't ever count out him and Stamkos being on a line, and then definitely on the power play. So I think that's definitely not a bad choice. And then with points, I think I'm going to just go with Nathan McKinnon. I think he had a good shot at doing it last season. He did, get an injury sometime that may have cost him the league lead in points, but I think he's definitely going to get it this season.
All right.
All right, well then, for the rookies, since I'm leading it off, I think that it will be Elias Patterson, just because the kid is an absolute stud, and he already is leading. He's already leading the rookies with 21 points in 21 games played. He has 13 goals and 8 assists. He, like I said, he's just a stud. But the other one that could be the dark horse for me is Brady Tkachuk. He just came back from injuries, only has 14 games played, but he has 16 points with 9 goals, 7 assists. He's one of the reasons why the Ottawa Senators are doing what the Ottawa Senators are doing, and he's definitely going to be a cornerstone for the franchise in the future. But those are my 2 picks, but I do believe that it will be Elias Patterson or Brady Tkachuk.
I'll go. I 100% believe it will be Pedersen. I think it's unbelievable. This kid is what he's been showing everybody. He's been on the show almost every night that he's going out there. I mean, there was a little slump because Brock Besser was out for a little bit. He's a big part of that team. But Elias Patterson, he's crazy. And I'm just looking at it on the. I'm looking at the assists right now for rookies. Guess who's leading it? Dallin. Dallin's leading it. It's crazy. I don't know. I just thought I'd just put it out there.
Yeah, I know. It's major. My boy Darlene, but I don't think he'll be the league leader at all because he's defense. So, I don't think he'll.
He's doing well. I would say for rookies though, but I can see it. I don't know. He's playing well now, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
For the Calder, I definitely see Pedersen. I think, definitely getting that. Usually, if it's based on the points, forwards definitely get a lot of those. Not counting anything against Darlene, I do think you could possibly lead at least the rookies in assists. But in terms of points, I think that will still go to Pedersen. But only time will tell. It's still you're only a quarter way into the season.
All right. Before we wrap this up, I just want to do another prediction really quickly. Who's going to make the cup this season? Who's making the cup? Who's the two teams, East and West? And you can say who wins the cup because you need a winner, right? So I guess you could start.
That's a tough one. You're starting. You said who's your pick?
I want to say this season, I could see out of the West, I could see Nashville coming back in again. I mean, it's Nashville. They have phenomenal talent on that team. Their goaltending, especially. If Rene's playing really well, or just well, their team's playing well. So good. So they're always a top pick in my mind. I would say them, or I could see. I know Winnipeg's a second wild card, but I mean anybody can make the final. But I could see Winnipeg possibly, turning their beginning of their season around. I mean they're 13-8-2, which isn't bad at all, but I could see them really killing it. Out of the East, I mean I would say Columbus just because I'm a Blue Jackets fan.
A little bias.
A little biased there,
Okay,
but I could see
unbiased opinion.
Unbiased opinion. But in all seriousness, I don't see Washington making the cup this season. I don't know about you guys.
No,
I just don't. I would either say maybe Toronto or Tampa Bay out of the Atlantic have probably the best chances. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be. I could see them making a wild card, but I don't see them pushing far at all this season.
Yeah.
I guess out of the Metro, I would say unbiased / biased opinion. I would say Columbus. This and that. They need to make a good push this season.
For the Stanley Cup.
Okay. The pick for my Stanley
Just
Cup.
like 5 teams.
You did what Ryan did for
All right, Toronto,
Defense.
Toronto, Nashville, and then the winner is going to be
Nashville.
Nashville.
Nice. I'm glad Toronto lost because I hate Toronto. But anyway, so for me, the East, it will be. You heard it here, folks.
It's not Buffalo. Don't say it.
Sabres,
Don't say it.
Absolutely. And it's not even me being a fan, a lifelong fan, a die-hard fan. If you cut me open, I bleed blue and gold. But that's not the reason. It's because they are, the top team in the NHL right now on a 10-game win streak. I don't believe that they're going to keep this win streak up for much longer. I do believe that they will cool down. But the way that they are playing, and if they stay healthy with the goaltending that they have, this team could win the Stanley Cup.
What about the President's Trophy, too?
Buffalo. I don't care about that. I just want them to just make the playoffs, and then with how they're playing, they can easily chip away. So my Stanley Cup is going to be a little different. It's going to be 2 dark horses that you didn't even think, but it will be the Buffalo Sabres versus the Colorado Avalanche, and the Buffalo Sabres are bringing the Stanley Cup home to the 7-1-6. That's my prediction.
False.
We'll see, baby.
All right, Ryan. Closing.
So I'll start with the West there, and I too believe the Colorado Avalanche are gonna go to the Stanley Cup. Not basing that off Mark's opinion, I just think they're one of the teams working really hard in the West, and I don't know. After watching Nashville last year in the playoffs, I just don't think. They're always. I think they're getting into that transition where they're like a good season team, kind of like how Washington was for the longest time. And then I just feel like they eventually fall apart in the playoffs. So I don't see them, maybe going to the second round. But I think Colorado is definitely going to be the Western team. And then for the East, sadly, I don't really see a Metro team making it this year.
Realistically, I see an Atlantic team as well.
I do realistically see an Atlantic team, and I think it's really hard to say. But I am leaning towards one of the top 3 right now. This is hard because I wasn't thinking about this.
They're kind of their little curveball.
Yeah, you did throw me a curveball.
It's not that hard. Just don't copy me, because that's what he does.
Honestly, I don't see the Sabres going. No, I don't see the Sabres going to the Stanley Cup. I can see them maybe doing a good run, maybe to the conference finals,
Shocking the
but
world,
I,
baby.
I don't see them in the cup.
So then who is it? Spit it out.
I'm
People are waiting.
gonna go with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But
Little
that I think that is one team that has maybe deserved it the most over the last couple of seasons. Not you guys can say biased, you can say all you want, but you can't deny that that is a team that has worked hard the
Listen, if
last.
they deserve it, they would have. But you know what they do? They choke a lot. So
Okay.
they don't deserve nothing.
But
On that note, because I think the deadline would be 60 minutes max because PlayStation doesn't let you record past 60 minutes. So I don't even know if we even hit that, if we're even still talking right now. But I just want to end it here. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Ryan and Mark for coming out here and helping me out on this podcast. That hopefully you become regular
You're welcome.
guests here.
Thank you. Give him an A. He deserved it. He worked hard.
Yeah, dude. It's last second. That's right. That's how I am. All the time.
I hope you're not recording that.
Yeah, I am.
that didn't have to be admitted.
Everybody who knows me knows
That's
that.
gonna be cut.
No, it's not. I mean,
Now, how much are you? You obviously got to cut out a lot.
all right, I'm in the end of now, so we can talk about our
Oh my
conversation
God.
after. Thank you,
I didn't know
everybody.
you didn't freaking end it.
Well, I'm ending it right now. Have a nice day, guys.